本当？見えないでしょ？どこにいるのかな？見えないよ。
Guess we can just get into it, right?
Yeah, we can.
All right.
You're thinking about that compilation clip right now.
I am, and I was thinking about eating tonight, and then I was like, I don't want to eat. Maybe, like, it might be too soon. I don't like it.
Don't want to eat like ever?
Well, you know, I'll recover, but I don't need that Season of the Witch clip in my head. That's the real thing that's going on in my head. And I'm trying to figure out, like, how am I supposed to open a podcast?
This is it, Rob. Can we just?
Already,
is this just the open? We're open. This is it. Within the podcast is the Welcome to Waypoint Radio.
Cut this.
Yeah, we're
so
in
it's
it.
Monday, October 26th.
It is. Yes.
And you're listening to Waypoint Radio, episode 354. I'm your host, Rob Zachney, and joining me today we have Ricardo Contreras.
God damn it. Do you think his head turned into pumpkin first and then it rotted? Or did it just rot?
I don't know what
That's a
happened
good
to that
question.
mask.
There was
Like,
goo.
it got
There was
like
goo coming
gelatinous
out.
and
I kind of read that
Dude,
as
I
like pumpkin bits, like when you make a jack-o'-lantern, you gotta scoop all that shit out, you know? That looked
But
kind
his
of like
face
that.
was still very human. So yeah, the pumpkin, yeah, just, I don't know.
and maybe the plan's explained later in the movie. I forget. It's been, you know, I watch it once a year, but then forget the plot details. So I don't.
You watch that once a year.
Wow.
See, yeah, Season of the Witch is like we have a handful of like
What?
Season of the Witch is well, I only so I love a good horror franchise where you discover there are 8 more of these. Like nothing brings me greater joy than they made nearly 10 of these and you have not seen any. No, it's a whoops that like I want to like rub all over my body. Like whoops, time to watch the 7th movie in this franchise. And my wife and I watched the Halloween ones a couple years back, and I'd never seen Season of the Witch, and she had seen it as a kid and was like, I can't believe you haven't seen this. And we watched it, and now it is becoming, you know, we have like an annual rotation of like a couple of movies that we make sure and hit throughout the month, and Season of the Witch has become one of those. And we've now convinced our daughter to dance around the kitchen to the Silver Shamrock theme in the morning, because it goes 6 more days to Halloween, and we just changed the number based on how close we are to Halloween. So hopefully my daughter doesn't spontaneously burst into snakes and bugs at some point. Although honestly, I think she would think it was funny. She thinks bugs are great, so that might, you know, don't show her don't show her Sleepy Hollow, which is, we watched the first third of that movie forgetting that movie is like the most violent of the Tim Burton films, because like she really likes Nightmare Before Christmas, and was like, oh well, maybe we'll put on Sleepy Hollow for a bit. Well, it's like 30 seconds of that movie is like just like a bunch of dead bodies and like decapitated heads. And I tried
but
to.
It's all cartoonish. Like
it is. Well, it's weird because with her, I let her tell me what scares her, and then we turn things off. But like violence is weird because it's hard to explain violence like to a 4-year-old. Like we tried to watch Mulan, and I was like, this Mulan is just mowing motherfuckers down in this movie. I was like, whenever you get bored, we're turning off Mulan and not going back to it. Whereas like in a lot of horror stuff, like in this realm is more just like spooky images. And so then it's just like, well, what triggers a kid? And so I just listen to her and she tells me what she doesn't like and we won't watch it anymore. But then, so she got very excited. She was very perplexed. So he doesn't have a head. I was like, yes, the headless horseman. And he's like, well, does he have arms? I was like, yes, clearly he has the sword in which he cuts off the heads of the people he's hunting down. Okay, so does he have legs? He's got legs. He's got arms. The one thing that's why he's called the headless horseman. I understand headless is like a weird term for a 4-year-old, but like that's what we're going for. No, I was like, forget head, not headless, just no head. She's like, okay, no head, got it. So we watched that for, you know, half an hour, and then it was time for bed. And she grabbed her. Like every year we go to like the Disney on Ice thing, and she always, you know, gets like the new wand or whatever that's there, and she grabbed her Elsa one, and then proceeded to run around the house and line up my wife and I on the floor low enough so that she could reach us. And she said, I need to cut your heads off. And so she did. And
that's great.
That's where I'm at with my parenting. And I've got a second one. So it's great. If I can do it, so can you.
Just working on that Lizzie Borden speed run. That is the voice of Patrick Klepek. Austin and Gita are out on assignment.
They saw me paste that season of the witch clip and said, "No, I'm good. I'm not gonna watch. Not doing this podcast."
Speaking of being triggered, I'm playing Ace Combat 7, where you play a pilot whose call sign is Trigger. And
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Rob. I know it's political season, but
I'm getting really into Joe Rogan. No. So in Ace Combat 7, your character is a pilot named Trigger, flying alongside Clown and some other characters. A bunch of them die in the opening missions. But yeah, I know this is not news to anyone, but Ace Combat is surprisingly narratively dense. Yeah. So like the game started, and right out of the gate, it starts giving me like some deep history on this universe, the world of Strangereal.
Right.
are they all connected?
And-
Does 7 pick up with like a
Yes.
different? Okay, all right, great. That's again, you were speaking
Strangereal.
my language as someone who sees Halloween 9 and goes, "Let me know how we got here." I like the fact that Ace Combat 7 connects to mythology brings me great joy.
Oh, really dense mythology. Like I was like, okay, what's going on in this universe? So I was like, history of Strangereal or something. And I open a Wikipedia page that I swear to God, like, you know how they all have their table of contents at the top? That thing was like a page, or like it was like 3 scrolls of the mouse wheel down to get to the bottom of the table of contents as they bullet point the history, which starts like pretty far back in time, and then sort of moves up through history. And I guess for our purposes, the thing that is relevant is it is a different world than ours, similar in some respects, but crucially, right around when the Cold War would have been happening in our timeline, in their timeline, a meteor hit the planet.
Oh,
And
shit.
yeah. And so like it sort of seems like because the planet was devastated by a series of meteor impacts that largely fell in one area of the globe, that immediately you had kind of a series of knock-on crises where they all have really absurd names. So Usia is the place that like just gets utterly trashed by meteor impacts. Their economy is devastated. Their ecology is devastated. Millions dead. Tons of people overnight are forced to become refugees. They begin fleeing to a place called Erusia, which is a monarchist great power. And Erusia, while trying to help for a little while, eventually is overwhelmed by the arrival of all these refugees and effectively start a world war to start, like, I guess, grabbing land and like sort of impose their own control over this continent that's sort of plunged into crisis. And they are opposed by Osia, the people who sort of seem like they weren't affected at all by the meteor, or not that much. I mean, everyone is affected. The planet's kind of devastated. There's a lot of pictures of like semi-barren wasteland in this world. But Osia sort of seems to come through it the best because they weren't hit by any meteors. And they sort of seem to have become the great power. They sort of contain Osia. And in this world, I guess you're flying with like the international peacekeepers who sort of been like protecting what's left of Osia. And Osia has just like decided to start using a world that's been plunged into crisis as a good investment opportunity. Like, I think they're sort of supposed to be the good guys, but they kind of seem to suck. Their big plan is like, what we're going to do is we're going to create massive like tech boondoggles and create a new infrastructure for the planet that is all under our control. And at the start of this game, Erusia launches yet another war to stop this from happening. And this time the big twist is you're fighting drones. They're bringing out like fleets of drone aircraft, whereas you, of course, are flying just really cool manned aircraft from the Cold War. And so you start out like in an F-16. Right now, I'm rocking an F-14D. It's real good, but yeah, I was not prepared for this to be a game where before you get to a mission, you get a long cutscene as a character narratives her personal stakes and her personal journey in this world. And then you are plunged into a mission with a different character who doesn't seem to speak, Trigger. You're just that character is just sort of a cipher. But before you get into that, you also have like 10 minutes of mission text as like a mission briefing gives you all the backstory on what's immediately going on. And then you fly a mission. And during the mission, you also have like just nonstop radio chatter of building the fiction and the universe and like the characters establishing themselves as members of the squadron. And then after the mission, you got another cutscene, and then you got a mission debrief, and then you got to get to. It's unbelievably. It's just a full on narrative onslaught. In all honesty, and I kind of love it.
Can I read some factoids from the fandom wiki for this game? Kazutoki Kono, who's one of the producers on this, he says, we coined the term Strangereal world when we were making the world of Ace Combat 4 using improper English grammar. But coin it we did. From that point on, for whatever reason, it's become established to users around the world as Strangereal. For that reason, true Strangereal is what we call the world based on Ace Combat 4, from which the number titles have stemmed. And then... okay, because people point out the weird inconsistencies of this world. Yes, a popular oddity in the series is when the enemy pilot will exclaim, "My plane's been Swiss cheesed," even though Switzerland does not exist in Strangereal. A Dutch roll and Burmese are also mentioned in Ace Combat 5, The Unsung War, while neither the Netherlands nor Burma or Myanmar are present in Strangereal. In Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown, the, and quote, Italian bistro is mentioned by someone. Just, if they care about their mythology, I just want to point out that there are some inconsistencies with the Strangereal going on here.
This is like when you're a first-time like game master or something, and you're just trying to build color into a scene, and it's like, so then the faulty dragon inn is sort of kitty corner from a taco stand, and that is one of those popular taco stands in all the realm. And people are like, tacos? What's that all about? Are they like our tacos? And then you're like, yes, in this world, a lot of they grew corn was one of their staple crops, and of course, so they via their own path of invention. They also arrived at the corn tortilla, and it was just a short leap from there to the taco, which is why this universe has tacos everywhere. It's like, well, what else does it have? Nothing else from our world. Nothing else from. And then 10 minutes later, you fuck up, and you're like, somebody's like, "Man, would you like a cappuccino, traveler?" And you're like, "Whoa, hold on, cappuccino." They got like espressos here. What's that all about? Isn't this like the Middle Ages? Well, yeah. But for coffee, they've mastered pressures and steam, and magicians make it. That's how magicians.
I would have just said, I don't know. There's portals. Like a taco fell through. I don't know. Then they reverse engineered it, figured out the rest. Are you enjoying?
A taco just fell through a portal. That's how you end up with a cargo cult situation, though, in the fantasy world, where people are like, holy shit, if you tried this, we can only eat this once, but like just savor it. Just save every bite. Then we'll tell everyone about it.
You've been playing, you and Cado have been playing Squadrons. Like, how does this fall in the like fly feel? Like, where does, I know it's more actiony, but I guess Squadrons is splitting the difference too, to some degree, maybe more on the simi side than Ace Combat, right? Like Ace Combat's more like, just get in there and fire those missiles, partner.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think that's not a bad comparison in terms of just how dense the environment is with like stuff for you to engage with. They're pretty similar in that respect. Squadrons is way more simmy in that it's trying to do things like not only are your most powerful pieces of equipment on cooldowns, which they are in Ace Combat as well. But Ace Combat, like for instance, you bring into each mission like 70 guided missiles in Ace Combat. Like effectively those are your guns. Like you have guns, but like mostly you're just flying around getting locks on people and firing missiles, because firing like guided missiles looks awesome. So I think the big difference is Ace Combat is all about like, fuck it, yeah, use those special powers, use your cool special weapons. Whereas Squadrons is very much like, no, you got to fly around and like drop on someone 6 and like shoot them with a gun, and your special abilities are kind of rare tools. It's much more about like, you know, pick someone out of the chaos, engage them, destroy them, move on. Ace Combat is very much about like.
Rob, you're telling me you don't use the dumbfire missiles that you get like 20 of at the beginning of a match?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes like I've equipped some of those. I wasn't super happy with the results I was getting. I was more pleased with just using guns and using other specials.
I just saw the amount of missiles they give you when you pick the dumbfire ones, and I was just like, I'm gonna learn to use these because that's too many fucking missiles.
Is that the meta?
I think it is on capital ships. You know, you just kind of park yourself and unload a bunch of missiles into a capital ship because it can't dodge you like a regular ship. But
I like the bombs. Those are fun. The bombs that just like
iron bombs
fall
that, like,
down.
drop. I like that they drop irrespective of any sort of gravity. It's just wherever the bottom of your ship is pointed, they shoot out that way for some reason. It's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because obviously, you know, they probably have some sort of, they have to be launched, even though they drop straight down. They're launched, right. You know, there's a sort of exit velocity. But yeah, I think Ace Combat is, I think, more about making it feel like you're part of a big, chaotic, like, fight in some ways. Squadrons missions do that too, but I think I don't know, for some reason it feels a little more orderly. I think one of the issues I had with that game is I didn't find the behavior of AI craft all that convincing. Whereas in Ace Combat, I don't know if it's more convincing or not. You just never notice, because if you sort of like fly a little ways out of combat and sort of turn around and look at what all is happening, you will see just your horizon covered in different like aerial dogfights happening and sort of missile streaks traveling in every direction. There's nonstop radio chatter of people, you know, calling for help or describing sort of the narrative action of the mission. But yeah, a big part of Ace Combat is just sort of dazzling you with ridiculous spectacle, of feeling like you're part of this much larger engagement. Whereas I think, Squadrons is much more about like keeping you focused on yourself, on your plane. But yeah, it's
Does Ace Combat have a multiplayer mode, or is it just single player campaign?
It has multiplayer. I haven't messed with it because I'm too all in on the drama of Strangereal. I need to know what happens. The thing is, I just got to the game's first big twist. Spoilers for a year-old game if you haven't gotten around to this.
Hit me.
Okay. So, there's the surprise attack launched by Erusia. You are sort of there on day one and trying to deal with the surprise attack. The peacekeeping forces of Usia like launch a counterattack at Erusia. It all goes bad. They lose like what's left of their navy, basically trying to do this. And then, bad news. Our former president was inspecting the space elevator when the surprise attack happened, and he's still there. And Erusia has seized control of the space elevator. So we got to go get him. Trigger, you got to fly through the air. You got to fly through the radar defenses undetected. Basically, this means that on the map, you'll just have big red circles where you can't go, and you have to sort of thread the needle between them. And just sort of fly carefully and pick your way to the space elevator without being detected. so that once you're there, you can take down the air defenses and a rescue force arrives. And so it's a pretty involved mission. You're fighting around this giant space elevator, which is what it sounds like. Basically, it's a huge like skyscraper sized construct that at the top of it, like a cable, heads off into the upper atmosphere. And you got to rescue the president. And then once the president is rescued, you got to get the president out of there. And the president flies out.
Is he in your jet, or he can fly as well? He's like, I got this.
No, so the game is trying to be set like. So this is the weird thing. Nothing is realistic about the game, but also at the same time, it does care about things like you can't rescue the president in a Tomcat fighter. Like you can't.
That was my thought. It was like, yeah, because is there like hover tech? There's like, oh, you just like just throw down a ladder and a rope and you just like hop in the spare seat.
Instead, once you bring down the defenses, you get a radio call from this dude who's like, I'm with the president. I'm a pilot, and I found a cargo jet, and we need to get out of here.
Sure.
And it's like, cool, we'll escort you. And right as you start escorting him away, the Erusian's giant flying wing prop aircraft shows up, and it's kind of the mothership for all their little jet drones. And it looks cool as hell. Like this thing sort of like it is massive. It sort of breaks through the clouds, and then you see like clouds of these drone fighters start dropping from it and igniting their thrusters and like chasing after you. You got to shoot them down. But somehow they damage the president's plane. You lose contact with that pilot.
Shit.
And then the plane starts heading back toward the space elevator. Almost as if it's on like a suicide attack trajectory. But you're trying to get the president to turn around like, hey, you need to come. Like we assume you're at the controls. We don't know what's going on aboard that craft. The drones are trying to shoot it down. And so at a certain point in the mission, you start trying to shoot these enemy drones who are attacking the president's cargo plane, and then you get a cutscene with like it looks like one of your missiles just flies into the president's plane. It blows the fuck up.
No.
What?
And everyone's like, "What the fuck just happened?" And everyone's like, "Trigger just shot down the president."
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, that's an oopsie.
You're going to be court-martialed.
Oh.
And so you, like, the next thing that happens is you discover that your character was court-martialed, found guilty of assassinating the president, and was sent to this prison colony that your forces are running in like the middle of nowhere. They basically built like a Potemkin airstrip that they've populated with all the cast-offs of their armed forces. A thief, an anarchist, some other person, and then one of the other main characters, the scrappy mechanic lady, who just gets picked up basically for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's where Trigger ends up. And like this mission, like you're just sent to prison. And the thing they are doing at this base is they're operating this dummy base just to draw attacks from Erusia. And so where I'm at in the game, you basically just have to go up in these crappy old aircraft and make a good show of like, oh yeah, this is definitely a real base. This is definitely a valuable military installation. So you should definitely keep sending bombers to attack it. Because obviously it's useful.
Is the whole base a prison?
Yes.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a combination of like, I think it's a combination of like military prison and like punishment detail almost.
Right.
Like a lot of these people
we
are still
didn't technically
in the
get you
military.
in a court martial, but you pissed someone off. Therefore, you get to go be bait.
Right. You've been assigned to this trip. Like, yeah, it's very much like a penal battalion, where it's like you guys just get all the shit jobs, and you're basically disposable troops.
Right.
So good luck with that. And so I'm curious where this goes from here. But the thing is, like, they've told us, like, they tell you so much story in this, and I still have no idea what's going on. Like, I do not know why this war is happening. I don't know, like, why they would have thought Trigger did this. Did Trigger blow up the president's plane? I didn't think I did, but it goes into a cutscene. Like, are you playing a character who, I don't know, like, Manchurian candidated
Yeah.
the president? I have no idea. But
Was some code word said somewhere and you didn't hear it.
yeah, but I'll tell you, it's a lot of fun. I had forgotten how much I missed games like this in some ways. Like, it reminds me, we were talking about on Squadrons, when we were talking about Squadrons, like, the Squadrons sort of evokes things like Free Space and the old TIE Fighter games. But honestly, I think Ace Combat 7 evokes it even more, because Ace Combat 7 is just so focused on, like, you're flying around a plane, but mostly you're there to see sort of a cool like military sci-fi story play out with you there as one of the pilots.
Right.
It does that really well, and so I'm a few hours in, but I think I'm pretty hooked, and I'm a little bummed. I need to look into the backwards compatibility issue for like, it's Ace Combat 7. What about these 6 other games? Like, can I play them?
Oh my
Hold
god!
on.
Well, you can safely skip one of them. Not so the Strangereal begins in Ace Combat 4, and then one of them. I've now. Oh, hold on. I could have explained this.
Did you accidentally
Because
close
there was
the tab?
There was a controversy. Okay, hold on. So, following the release of Ace Combat Joint Assault, Assault Horizon, and Ace Combat Infinity, many fans assumed that Bandai Namco had abandoned Strangereal entirely. However, the release of Ace Combat Assault Horizon Legacy, Ace Combat Northern Wings, and Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown puts this theory to rest. Kono confirmed that Strangereal was abandoned for Assault Horizon in particular because it was seen as a barrier to entry for newcomers to the Ace Combat series. Bandai Namco believed that setting a main game in the real world, which would be more relatable, would help draw new players to the franchise. So you're gonna have to do some work on, even if all of them are backwards compatible in that world, not all of them are like narrative compatible. If you're looking for the Strange Realiverse,
Strange Real.
that's not going to be every
Did you
single
see
one.
this? I just found the timeline. Look at this shit.
Paste me. There we go.
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so 7
Wait.
is technically the second to last in the series. Ace Combat 3 takes place
in 2040?
in 2040. Ace Combat 7 takes place in 2019.
What is
all
going
the other
on
games
here?
are before that.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So it came out on the PlayStation 1 in, I don't know when, but like the 90s.
This is approaching some Nier level bullshit right here.
Okay, so Ace Combat 0 is the first one.
Yeah.
The
PlayStation
Belgian War.
2.
Okay.
And then we've got Ace Combat 4. Then
so
Ace
you don't
Combat
need to
5.
worry about Ace Combat 2?
Apparently not. Or what is Ace Combat 0 the first one? Is there an Ace Combat 1, Ace Combat, no subtitle somewhere out there that doesn't matter anymore?
Oh man, I just read the synopsis for Ace Combat 3 Electrosphere. All right.
I mean, I'm really interested. It's
but
called the Intercorporate War. I'm really interested in what's happening there.
I'm gonna paste. I'm not saying I want to spoil Ace Combat 3 for everyone, but I do want to spoil it for like the people in this. Just read that plot summary about
Wow.
Ace Combat 3 Electrosphere and just.
Oh
just
my
think about
god!
it. Yeah, right.
Wait, it's all the test.
Yes!
Sublimated character Abyssal Dacian killed.
I don't know.
5 endings.
5.
What?
And none of them are real. What the fuck?
This is so weird. Okay. So is this
not okay? I don't know what this means. Okay, I'm reading again the fandom wiki for Ace Combat, which is excellent, highly recommended. In the remake section, it says due to the international version's lack of a proper storyline, Ace Combat fans have repeatedly asked Namco over the years to re-release or remake Ace Combat 3 with full localization. What does that mean? Why does it not have a? In June 2009, a fan-driven project was initiated by a group of people known as Team Nemo in order to fully translate Ace Combat 3. What is it?
What?
I'm starting to see a story here.
Great. Good.
I don't understand.
You know, we were talking about for a while. What would be the next thing we would do for lore reasons if we ever did another lore reasons?
The story in the international version of Ace Combat 3, so basically any version released outside of Japan, is independent of the Japanese version.
What?
With none of its characters, backstory, or endings.
Excuse me?
Newcom was renamed to New Work. However, some portions of the story from the Japanese version were included here. Basically, the localization team said, what if not your story? And what if we put in our own... You see these little bubbles where you can put text? Like, what if I just wrote my own story for it?
Wait, did they change any assets around, or is it just
it just
changed
sounds
the
like
dialogue?
they just changed the text.
Wow.
Just a total Robotech situation.
Wow. Holy shit.
Wait, so hold on. So this synopsis that you pasted here, Patrick.
That's for the Japanese version of the game, the real story.
The actual
According to
story.
Agnes Kaku, who worked on the localization for Ace Combat 3, I was brought in to do a demo translation of a story chapter by people who were supposedly contracted to write the screenplay. Soon after, Namco decided to lighten the budget by ditching much or all of the plot content for the non-Japanese release.
What? Does that mean they just skipped cuts, like text boxes that needed to be translated?
Namco made their decision after they had already started advertising the game's expansive storyline in regions outside of Japan, resulting in a backlash from fans who were expecting the game's full localization.
What the fuck?
That's incredible. This is great, Rob. This has been a joy to read this wiki on this podcast. Tremendous content.
I'm looking forward to getting more into Ace Combat.
Please, Ace Combat stands out there. Write in what other tips. What else do we need? We can have an Ace Combat corner where we can unpack parts of the Ace Combat universe, the Strangereal-verse. Please write in.
So, Cado,
turn
into you for a moment. Speaking of large, unruly universes.
Yeah.
You're back on Pokemon.
Okay. Not where I thought the segue was going to go. The new DLC for Pokemon, the Crown Tundra, just released last week, last Thursday or Friday, I believe. So I've been diving back into that. I am enjoying it so far. It takes place in a totally new section of the map that they've added, with a bunch of new, like they upped the Pokedex again. There's new story beats to go through, and the big theme of it is that there's a lot of legendaries that were previously uncatchable, that brought in from the older games. There's one new mode that is kind of interesting called Max Raid Layers, which kind of play out like a miniature, like the map is 100% just like the kind of branching map situation you have in like Slay the Spire, for example. Like you have choices between, you can see kind of what the path is ahead, and you can see what Pokemon you'll be fighting on the way there, and each fight is a max raid battle, which is 4 Pokemon, and you can do this solo and bring along 3 AI, or the way you're supposed to do it, or like most people will be doing it, is multiplayer online. You and 3 other strangers take on this one giant Pokemon. And after, what's interesting about this is that instead of taking in one of your own Pokemon, you pick one at the beginning to rent. And as you like move through this cave system, essentially, each time you fight one, you have the ability to capture it. If you capture it, you can swap it out with the Pokemon that you took in originally. And it's like you only get 1 Pokemon per person. So there's kind of some interesting, like I've run it a few times, and it's kind of fun to like make your way through the mazes and swap Pokemon as you see, like, oh, the next fight coming up is going to be a grass one. This Pokemon that I just caught is ground. I don't need that. Or like it's actually a fire Pokemon, it'll be great for that one. But then at the very end, there will be a legendary that has 100% catch rate, which is usually unheard of for legendaries, especially like Dynamax legendaries. So it's both a neat like mode and also like surprisingly generous for what it gives you at the end, which are, you know, legendaries that people enjoy and think are cool. Aside from that, there's like new story bits about a legendary Pokemon that was a king that apparently ruled over a land of humans, but it was their king. I don't know. It's weird. I'll get back to you when I get further into that story, but right now there's been some Pokemon possession, which is always fun. And yeah, so far it seems really neat. It seems like a solid follow up to the last DLC, which I actually never finished, because in the middle of that DLC, they did the unspeakable horror of making me grind a Pokemon's level from like 5 to 60, and I was like, fuck that. So I just never got to that story. I'm still carrying around the Pokemon I'm supposed to level up. But what seems to be nice is that the DLCs are separate. So like I'm leveling that Pokemon like in the background as I do things through this new DLC, which is very nice. So like you can just jump into Crown Tundra even if you haven't finished the Isle of Iron. I forget the exact name of that. But yeah.
Okay, so Crown Tundra proposes that there was a land where Pokemon ruled as monarchs. Yes,
there was the one monarch Pokemon that has
do not speak like Pokemon don't have language in the way that we do.
Well, this one absolutely does, because it possesses a human in order to speak to us. Like it tries to talk to us, but obviously,
Detective Pikachu.
No, that was the other way around. That was a human who had turned into a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Detective Pikachu. Sorry, but this is the other way.
HBO Max. It's been on my watch list for like 2 months.
it's
Honestly,
pretty good. You should watch it.
It's a fun time.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I kind of spoiled the big thing, but whatever. It's fine. This is the other way around. Some hapless adventurer who kind of he is out here on a vacation, an adventure tour that he likes to call an advent tour with his daughter, who is a teenager who wants none of it. And she fucking ditches him and kind of sets you up to like do the advent tour in her place. And as you're like doing this advent tour, which has
please stop
couple
calling
of
it that.
riddles. What? I will not. It's what it is. There's a bunch of riddles that you have to figure out in order to find the locations of separate legendary Pokemon, which is neat that the game didn't just say like, hey, here, this is what you do. It's like, oh, here, figure out this puzzle first before you can just find these.
All right, but when does the Pokemon ruler possess somebody?
So and then the guy that you're on the tour with, kind of the dad who's been talking up this ruler Pokemon and being like, this is like the most mysterious fucking Pokemon ever. No one's ever seen
talking
it.
him up as in like, this is our rightful king, and I'm here.
I'm
here
to
summon like awake Pokemon King Arthur, so that he will rule us once again.
No, more just like this Pokemon, it definitely exists. Don't believe that it's like he's like a Bigfoot guy basically. And then his Bigfoot appears, but he doesn't get to see it because it immediately possesses him in order to speak to us, because we're better at Pokemon fighting, I believe, is why we were chosen. And then every time he gets unpossessed, after the king is done, giving us clues to the next piece of the riddle, he leaves, and the guy's like, oh, I must have fallen asleep where I stood. Weird. Okay, I hope you find that legendary Pokemon someday. Bye.
Well, that does sound surprisingly charming.
Yeah. It's neat. It's and so far there haven't been any. For? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, especially if you're interested in kind of like finishing out a Pokedex. There's like it because of all the legendaries they've added, but also I think there are some interesting puzzles in here that are It's a little more than just like going through the story beats, which was what Isle of Iron was, and what the main storyline was. There's a few more kind of open-ended, like, oh, here's like 3 different riddles, figure them out however you want, and go out and kind of explore this open world area. Yeah, it's really neat.
So, speaking of dads, Patrick.
All right, is breaking news if it's news from October 16th and it's October 26th? I don't know, but a car, according to Lisa _Gressy, who is a Emmy-nominated reporter for WBZ, CBS Boston, Believer, Boston Born, Fluffy Cat Mom, Have Courage and Be Kind, story idea, Gressy at CBS.com. She tweets, a car crash into Magoo's Pizzeria in South Boston overnight.
Shit.
The people who live above the restaurant forced to evacuate. The driver was taken to the hospital and no one else was hurt. The focus now, stabilizing and boarding up the front of the building. Magoo's under attack.
Jesus Christ.
It's not the only thing under attack in Boston. The Copley Square ballot box was set ablaze
What?
this weekend.
What?
Yeah. Somebody set a ballot box on fire.
Sweet, are all those ballots just...
Yep, they're trying to tell people, they're trying to get the word out to people who may have dropped their ballots off at these things. Hey, if you did that over the weekend at Copley Square, your ballot probably got burned, so you'll have to do that again.
Hold on, are these just like essentially mailboxes, but specifically for the election that they've put out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, dude, it rolls. Like, there's one by
well, until
City
someone
Hall,
sets
like,
one on fire, apparently. Jesus.
Yeah, well, I mean,
no, I waited like an hour and a half to vote this morning.
did you write in Working Families Party?
You don't have to write it in. It's actually on the ballot.
Oh, I thought the whole thing was that they'd gotten removed from the ballot.
No, they're on there. It's just like it's the same candidates, just a separate like party affiliation. So you just have to make sure you tick the right box. At least in my jurisdiction. I don't know if there was like there might be different things in different boroughs. But yeah, I have to vote in the Barclays Center, which was a fucking shit show over the weekend. Luckily, this morning it wasn't as bad, but I was seeing over 7-hour waits. Yeah.
At that location?
At that location.
Despite the fact that they have the entire Barclays Center to work with.
Well, here's the fun part. They don't. They have the lobby of the Barclays Center. Not even the entire lobby that rings the stadium. Just the entryway.
That whole thing about like making the like NBA stadiums available as voting centers. That's bullshit. They didn't actually like.
Nope. Not for Barclays at least. It's the front lobby of the Barclays and that is it. Not even any. Basically the Barclays has this large entry lobby, and then there's a ring around the stadium like normal where concessions and shit are, and then the stadium itself. You do not go. It's the lobby, and that's it. It is only like slightly bigger than the school gym that I normally go to.
The lobbies are not big in these places because it's all meant to just like filter you through into the real waiting areas and concourses. As quickly as possible. Oh,
it's
that's
ridiculous.
Really disappointing.
Yep. If you have an absentee ballot, you're allowed to just skip the line and drop it in a box in there, which is great. But
that's the real shit.
My absentee ballot never fucking showed up. So, had to wait in line. 7 a.m. this morning. Took an hour and a half, which wasn't as bad as I was worried. I was worried seeing like 7-hour waits. Jesus Christ.
But you were there 7 a.m. and it was 90 minutes to get your fucking vote cast.
Uh-huh. Yep. Love
country,
our
man.
democracy.
Yeah.
Anyways, video games.
Also, I just want to say I wanted to shout out at Lexa Programmer for that Magoo's update.
Just that's very important.
They're ones that pass. Now I want to make sure I get that out there. So if there are additional,
wait,
Magoo
was that
updates,
Lexa Pro Gamer or Lexa Programmer?
Lexa
Either
Programmer.
way, it's a good handle.
Lexa should go ahead and change it now to Lexa Pro Gamer, and just embrace it.
So Patrick,
yeah,
how's that Mario Kart in real life thing?
It's well, it's a gimmick. It's so yeah. Nintendo released a week or two back. You can buy a Mario set or a Luigi set. It's a cart that has a camera attached to it, and there's an app that you download for your Switch. And you can. It comes with these 4 different like paper gates, and you set these gates up, and the camera on the cart can recognize that as like part of the path. And you also navigate that path with the cart to sort of like create the course in your probably house. Seems like this would not be, you're gonna need some space to make this work. In theory, you could do it outside just fine, like a driveway or a sidewalk, but the weather's not really headed in that direction. We had our first snow this morning. It was distressing.
Oh, shit.
My daughter was the only one excited about it. She's like, this rules. I can't wait to go in the snow, whereas the rest of the house just slowly groans. Yeah, so it's I don't know. It's neat. It's fine. There's not much to do with it. It's you create your course, and then you go up against like 4 different like Magic Koopas or like a Koopa Kids. And it's like it's like a totally acceptable version of Mario Kart. There's like different classes, like 50cc, 100cc. You can like change the difficulty. I don't know. The most fun I got out of it was the fact that there was like a really high resolution camera like on this cart, and my daughter and I chased our dog around because she kept trying to bite the Mario, and then she would hide around the house, and I could like chase her with the Switch. Like you actually got like some pretty nuanced control over this like cart because you're doing it with like dual analog sticks as opposed to like the kind of like fiddly, like when I think of like controlling a cart or a car as a kid, you just have like those giant like spokes that you're trying to like use to move it around. That's like no fun, or like the kind of wheel that you sort of turn depending on which toy you got. I don't, if you don't have a child that finds this profoundly interesting, I don't know that I wouldn't be rushing out to get this. It's neat. Like I had a fun 90 minutes with it with my kid. She has not asked to use it again. She's also 4. So it's like at 4, you are jumping between toys in a way that you shouldn't spend money on them because your interest level in something like changes so rapidly. Like as she gets older, interest will solidify in a way. But yeah, and like it's fine. It does what it says it's going to do. It's neat. I think how much is it? $80? I want to say that's how much it costs. I want to get it right. Mario.
That feels like a lot for a novelty, but
yeah, which is why I want to make sure I get the price
like
right.
Ring Fit was 82, right? Or is that 100?
Ring Fit. I want to say that was 80. How was the price not on the Wikipedia page? Come on, what are we doing here? I guess while the prices Google pulls up prices on eBay for $160.
$79.99 US was Ring Fit.
Okay. It's listed on Best Buy for $100.
Wow, really?
I don't know. Yeah.
Damn.
Anyway, it's in that price range, and I don't know. I think you need to go in with your eyes wide open. Either you are buying $100 pretty neat gimmick, or you have kids that you think are going to get $100 worth of fun out of it. I think it's more likely for me that thing is going to go on the shelf, and then every once in a while my daughter will look at it and go, "Can we race that around?" And I'll go, "Sure." And that's sort of it.
Can you drift the cart?
I don't think. No, you cannot. You cannot drift the cart. You can't hop it.
Damn.
It's a nice looking figure though. Like people pay lots of money for like high quality figures to go on their shelf, and I feel like at that point $100 isn't like. I've looked at some of those Bloodborne ones where I'm like, I'd love to have a Bloodborne figure, and I'm like, no, I would not. No, I won't have a Bloodborne figure.
That Bloodborne watch.
What watch?
Oh God! So there's a Bloodborne themed wristwatch.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Well, that sounds expensive.
It looks like somebody took a like steampunk magic wristwatch thing and was just like, yeah, this is Bloodborne now.
Oh, well. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, there's just really not much to say about it. It does what it promises to do, and not much more than that. It's neat, but how much it needed is going to kind of depend on your circumstance or disposable income. I don't know that I would not have purchased this had it not been provided by Nintendo.
Yeah.
This stunning Bloodborne watch will cost you nearly $300. No, it won't. Not if I don't spend that money.
I'm not going to buy it.
But Patrick,
Could
look at all
cost
those little
you
fake
nearly-
ears it's got.
That doesn't even speak Bloodborne to me. That's just a bunch of. I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's a cool looking watch, but well, watches are expensive too, man. Like $300 is nothing for a
Yeah,
watch.
that's the thing, right? It's like gamer expensive, but
Yes.
not actually like wristwatch enthusiast, like jewelry expensive. It's not.
No, it's-
Patrick, speaking of questionable purchases and things
Yeah.
that are probably not worth it, tell me about the Oculus Quest 2.
Well, okay. One, Facebook is an awful company. Should be
we know.
burned to the ground. Yeah.
You're just caveating because you don't want to get those emails. You're just
No, because it like you need a Facebook account in order to engage with the Oculus Quest 2. It used to be the case that you could have an Oculus account that was not connected to the tentacles of Facebook, and that is not the case with the Oculus Quest 2. You need to. If you've had an Oculus account, I believe you can maintain that account for like another year or two, and then they're gonna just merge those or just purge. They're just gonna purge them. Like they're basically have already said Oculus accounts are going away. Facebook accounts are what's going forward. They just also like merged like Instagram and Facebook messaging in a way that they definitely need to do, but they force you to do. Like they're clearly mushing all that stuff together. So the reason I caveated that was because there used to be a world where you could sort of like compartmentalize it a bit. It's like, yes, they're owned by Facebook, but I'm buying this thing. I'm not engaging with the Facebook platform. And it is now the case that
I'm here as a Palmer Lucky stan. I'm not here for Facebook. I'm here to support my boy Palmer and his vision.
He's out there. He's like specializing in like making like drone technology to like try and catch people coming over the border. He's doing some gross shit these days. Doing like military contracts and stuff. Somehow we're still friends on Facebook. Every time I realize that when one of his status updates comes up, I'm like, oh, okay, I haven't been defriended yet. Anyway, I've always been a big VR advocate. Really enjoy the technology. Like paid. I bought an original Oculus like dev, platform, so I could have one of those in the house. I paid $700 for the original like Vive from HTC, so I could have the room scale stuff. And then kind of fell off it the last couple of years, other than playing like a handful of games. I think, and then kind of got back into it with Half-Life Alyx earlier this year, which I think that feels like a million years ago to have played that game. I totally I interviewed Jake Rodkin and Chris Remo and Sean Vanneman about Half-Life Alyx. Like a really fun hour-long conversation. Then COVID happened and my child was born, and that interview just went into a dumpster. At some point I should find that thing. It was a good chat. That like kind of like got me interested in VR again. I still, even though the Index, the Valve's headset is beautiful, it is a pain in the ass to set up and maintain and do the wires. Like that is, despite the fact that I really like VR, love when I spend my time in there. That ends up being a hurdle where I just don't do it. And so they sent me an Oculus Quest 2 a couple of weeks back, and I'd love to give you my impressions of it, except that I am not the one that's using it. My wife has commandeered the Oculus Quest 2. She has, at some point, saw a video for Beat Saber, and for months has hounded me. She's like, I don't give a shit about your fucking video games. She doesn't say it in that tone, but sometimes she does. And she saw Beat Saber and she's like, this looks awesome. This seems like a exercise routine, something that like I'd be really like, you have all these things downstairs. Like, how do I play the Beat Saber? And I said, yeah, I could probably get that on like the PlayStation VR. If I could set it up for her in a spot so it's accessible. I just never gotten her doing it. And then just when I thought about explaining like how she's gonna like set up the PlayStation and the PlayStation VR, I was like, that gave me a headache. Because it's a headache for me. And so like explaining that to a normal person seemed ridiculous. Anyway, so I got this Oculus Quest 2 and she's like, wait, like that thing you just put it on, it doesn't plug anything. It's not, I don't have to mess with the TV. I was like, absolutely not. So like, I got Beat Saber. I was like, it absolutely does. And
I use it a couple.
I've used it a couple of times to set Beat Saber up for her and explain the menus to her and guide her through it. And now she's off on her own, which honestly, that speaks more to the Quest. And I think Austin spoke at length about the original Quest that came out 2 years ago, where he was someone that wasn't really into VR, but then found when he could just pick up a headset on his desk and just engage with it, that like got him into playing a bunch of things that he otherwise wouldn't have. And I think the fact that my wife, who is someone who doesn't engage with a lot of video games and technology, and looked at this and is like, I can do this. Like, I can pick this up, I can operate it by myself, and I'm like deeply into this this video game. Like, speaks highly to it. Like, and it is like, that's why when I did the top about the whole Facebook thing, it's like, it kind of sucks that VR is in this really weird place where the high-end tech is attached to a very, very expensive headset that is then attached to a very, very expensive computer rig, where you are looking at spending bare minimum thousands of dollars to play something like Half-Life Alyx at the sort of like the optimal way. And on the other end, if you want to engage with like the minimum amount of obstacles, it's like, well, then you've got to, deal if you have a problem with like dealing with a Facebook account. My wife, being a normal person, like, is barely aware of any of this stuff. Is like, that thing is fucking VR, and I put it on my head. She's like, great, I'm gonna play Beat Saber, and I was like, right, this is most normal people, and they would just look at that and go, that seems fucking cool.
I mean, I'm not on Facebook, but I still have a Facebook account, so I'd be good to go, right? Like,
yes, yeah. So I don't know if there are ways that you can make like a fake Facebook account or what, like just register with one so you can like just jump through the hoops.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how exactly that works. I've had this since like the same account since college. But yeah, it's fine. But it's a pretty remarkable piece of tech. They still have not figured out how to make it easy to deal with straps. That like they can figure out how to like put you into a virtual world and have no wires, but they can't make it easy to like attach it to your head. They sell like a separate pro strap that I've read is like really good and solves this problem.
What?
But then that means like go spend $40
You're not getting
on
aftermarket
like some
parts for your Oculus. That's not. You're not hot rodding your Oculus.
No, well, I did. I last night. I don't know if this is like getting me in trouble with PR because there's lots of scary messages that comes up with it. But like like you don't have to hack it. You just like register for a developer account so you can sideload software into the Oculus Quest. So in order to sideload software, you need to just register as a developer and jump through a couple of settings hoops. And boy, those messages are scary when you do that. Like the whole time, it's like, the fuck you up to, man? Like, what are you doing with this? Like, I installed something on it that my wife wanted to mess around with, and she ended up like formatting like the software that I was like doing because they make like a big blue button that's like, you want to fix this? And I walked out of the room for like 2 minutes. I was like, hey, I think I set up this thing for you. I think you're gonna like this. Let's just put it on. You'll be good to go. I come back. She's like, I don't know what I did. And I was like, did you hit like the big blue button that says like restore? Which makes sense. Big blue button that says, hey, I think something's wrong. Do you want to fix it? And she said, of course I do. I did that. And I was like, no. They're just warning. They're just trying to put up scary messages so you won't do this to the headset. But yeah, it's a neat piece of tech. To the point where like I sort of looked at my index, and as nice as that was for like Half-Life Alyx, I was like, I might pack all this shit up and put it in a closet and just buy the cable that connects my Quest to my computer, and like that will just be, because I just find I'll probably use it more often. Where it's like I can literally just go upstairs, pull it off the USB charging station, bring it down here, put it on. I mean, like if I could just do that, at the end of the day, I'm just
image quality, or basically they're just
the index is, I mean, there was a period where Rob, we were talking about like the next time you'd be in Chicago, I was like, let's find a time you can come over to my house. I'm going to show you the index, like show you like high-end VR, and then COVID happened. Yeah, it's meaningfully different, and there are hoops to jump through if you want to like. I've heard it's not as simple as just like collecting, like connecting a Quest and then like playing, Half-Life Alyx, because like then you're talking about the Steam marketplace. So, but there are ways you can hack together just about anything with these devices. Even though VR is not taken off in the way that I think some advocates were hoping for, it certainly has like a really dedicated community that will kind of like let you do what you want to do. So definitely, Facebook sent me the Quest, and they sent me the 64 gigabyte one, which like in every review was like, don't buy this one because it's like there's no expandable storage on the Quest. You are just stuck with your 64 gigs.
Yeah.
Which sounds like it's not a huge deal if you're just playing games, but if you want to get into like videos and stuff, like that stuff fills up fast. So it is what it is. But I mean, all qualms about Facebook aside, which is unfortunately like a huge hand wave, like the Quest 2 is like it's really fucking cool. I can't compare it to the Quest 1, so I don't know if like this is a situation where you'd be better off just go buy the, a hand-me-down Quest or go get one on sale. But either way, it makes me, Sony seems to be indicating they're going to do another PSVR, and boy, do I hope it is somehow essentially the same, maybe just one wire connected to the PS5. Which we have now. Maybe before the break, we could just say we have a PlayStation 5. Rob has a PlayStation 5. I have a PlayStation 5. Gita will have a PlayStation 5 today
as that
or
delivery
tomorrow.
Comes through. Yeah.
And we can't
them
say
sort
any
of
more than that.
surprising us. Did you guys have any weekend plans? Because you should cancel them so that you can get your PlayStations. It could be there any minute.
Like
and
quite,
it's I did have weekend plans that didn't revolve around waiting on FedEx. So
hey, I didn't have to wait around for it. My FedEx package woke me up that before my children did. The FedEx guy, dude, I don't know if there's like a note on there that said, make sure, like, try very hard to make sure this person is home, because like we have like a digital doorbell that people usually click and then you can kind of hear it from down the hall. No, it was like donk 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 donk, like what? And everyone was up. Dog barks. Newborn woke up. 4-year-old woke up. My daughter, my wife is kicking me in the back. She's like,
the
what
next
is at
generation
the door?
is here.
Yeah, it announced itself. So we'll have more to say about that in the coming weeks. There are strict embargoes on. I think something lifts tonight. I was trying to look that up, but I wasn't able to find it. But
it's in one of the decks we were given. But hey, you'll have to wait to hear impressions of the new consoles. But if you're looking for things that you can buy right now, stay tuned for these messages. I don't know if we're back or not. Did we ever break for ad? Cado, you slid that in, right?
Did. We broke for ad.
Great. So I did, however, just have a nightmarish weekend. Like I think I set something terrible loose in the world when I was sort of making the living room ready for the new consoles, because it did require like, okay, we're gonna have some consoles showing up soon, so it's time to like which of these gets to stay out. And it's a weird thing where like I think the PlayStation 3 might have survived this round of purges again, because the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are basically being rendered kind of redundant, right? The backwards compatibility seems like the plan is to make that extensive enough.
Well, and it seems like you'll be in a situation where the vast majority of things you're ever going to put in your Xbox are just going to work, and then in the rare case where it doesn't, then go dig it out. But it's not going to be a thing where you can probably safely assume most times your Xbox is going to play the thing that you want to play, and probably play it better than it was playing before. Whereas PlayStation, that's like, you're good for PS4, but if you're anything beyond that, it's sus.
And so once again, the PlayStation 3 might have survived a round of console purges.
For what? What's on the docket?
Demon Souls?
Original Demon Souls?
Yeah.
You're gonna be offline to OG Demon Souls. Do you have a copy of Demon Souls?
Yes.
Okay.
But
I'm probably not doing that now.
I was gonna say there's a new one. Like
a fake one.
A fake
Oh wow.
Damn, shots fired.
Look, I haven't played any of these games since Demon Souls, but I do know that
you played Demon Souls?
A little bit, yeah.
How did this
enough to realize that it was not for me.
Right.
Like I had a very intense day, like playing through the first like real level after the tutorial, and I was like, "This is infuriating." Like, I understand, like, I get it, but I'm a freelance writer. I need to move on.
We are going to do a summon stream whenever we are allowed to do that. You're going to bring me.
I don't know what that is.
You can bring in a friend. You can do co-op.
So can you just like carry me through Demon Souls?
I forget. Cado, the summoning only you can't just summon. It's only before bosses, right? But then, like, do you have to go into the boss? Could you like run around? I forget exactly because I don't. I'm gonna sound like an asshole. I don't summon. Like I don't bring people into my games. So I forget. You can sort of do like a fake co-op, right?
If it hasn't,
but you would make an exception for me. You would let me.
Well, I know, yeah. So
no,
Rob. I have no problem helping others in the world. I tend to like avoid summoning people into my world for my fights. But one of the great joys of any Souls game is beating a boss and then hanging out in front of that boss's door and helping out other people like get over the hump. Like that they're truly a few greater feelings than like beating the shit out of some boss that has been giving you trouble and then being like, it's all right, man. Like I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna help you.
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah. It would delight me to no end to be part of your early Demon Souls experience.
If only we'd known this back when I was playing Demon Souls and getting frustrated. And the fun we could have had.
No one knew back then, though. The Souls discourses evolved.
Demon Souls people did. That to me has always been the weird thing. Is Demon Souls was wildly popular. Like people loved that fucking game.
Well, it was popular. It was popular, and then there's a blockbuster, right? Like Dark Souls was when it crossed over to mainstream. It was no longer shocking that GameSpot. It was genuinely shocking when GameSpot gave. Back when Game of the Year stuff like mattered more, like that, like had carried more weight. There were just fewer publications. Like GameSpot gave Demon Souls a Game of the Year. Like that was like a holy shit moment for as far as that kind of like a surprise Oscar sort of thing. Yeah, people who loved that game loved that game, but it wasn't until Dark Souls, which was only 2 years later, that it like a lot of people got on the train with it.
Yeah, that part always kind of baffled me, was that it was like Demon Souls, like it seemed like it had its sort of critical mass breakthrough, but you really hadn't seen anything yet, given how people reacted to Dark Souls. But anyway, so I had to sort of go behind the console for the first time in like over a year and just start like checking out how is my cabling, what's been going on back there. And let me tell you, nothing good. Nothing good has been going on.
Have you
back
bought?
there.
I could use some. So I've rearranged my entire office in preparation for this moment. Was like I bought a new desk. Like a couple days ago, I hung a TV. Like when I was told by Sony, by the way, your PS5 is coming in the morning. I was like, oh fuck, I've been putting off hanging this TV, and so I guess that's what I'm doing tonight. Didn't watch the third debate, which is great. I didn't need to watch that. I hung a TV instead. It was a much better use of my time. But that's like the one thing that I haven't done yet is cable management. And this is one of those things where Rob and I, you and I, how we arrive at purchasing decisions is different. But I trust that you will do like the research. And this one, I will just blind buy whatever you say. This is for your cables. Like I need stuff for my desk. I'm gonna need stuff for these machines. Like what am I doing with my cables? How am I cleaning this up?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I don't think there is a special solution beyond just like get one of those cable management kits. That like the main thing for me is those Velcro straps.
That's what I got for my standing desk upstairs.
You need 1 million of them.
Yes.
Like this is
you need way more. That's what I learned is you need far more than what you look at. You look at it on the diagram on Amazon or whatever, and you're like, oh, I only need like 3 of those, and then you get it and you go, oh, I need like 12 of these.
And then once you start doing it, you realize you need 24 of those. And you cut some of them wrong, so really you needed like 30 of them. And so that's the main thing. Like that's the big secret. Just like have 1 million of those. Zip ties are good too. But I find that like the problem is eventually you're going to be like, oh, I want to change something, and if it's all zip tied together, then you got to cut it and sort of rebundle the cables, and that's annoying. Whereas the Velcro thing makes it easy to get in there and make revisions. But yeah, no, it was an entire like the main thing though that I realized is that mice have been using the area behind my consoles as like a mice like condominium.
No.
And all those warm electronics and those cables sort of pulsing with electric energy. There
How
is
are
a-
your wires? A little,
you-
little nighttime snack?
So the good news is that in between fully equipping a pantry and getting a dog, mice no longer feel any interest or compulsion to eat electronics around here because they have a bounty of other options to choose from. There's the kibble that Mina throws across the floor because she likes sort of chasing it down and eating it up bit by bit. But she always forgets some, and the mice will find it. Or there's the pantry, which we discovered like over the summer, the mice were starting to chew through the bags of a bunch of stuff, and that was disappointing. Really disappointing. Disappointed in you, mice. Really thought you'd be better than that. So we had to spend a tiny fortune on shit from the container store to sort of seal now bags within like plastic canisters that the mice can't get at. And then the minute I did that, Mina got sick and has kennel cough, and so I barely slept this weekend.
That Pixel had that a couple years ago, and then when she had some teeth extracted, which is a regular thing for her because she is extremely old, and Chihuahua bodies outlast their mouth. It's basically once a year I take her for an appointment and go, so how many thousands am I spending to take these teeth out? That's just every year. It's just how much am I spending?
Ooh.
Anyway, that coughing is unbelievable. It is.
Oh my God.
There's nothing you can do about it. You could not be in I'm in a house, Rob. I could put that dog, and we did for a while, cruelly think about like putting her in like her cage, putting her in my office downstairs, like fully like a
Tippet
the
floor.
closest we can get to like the other end of the house, because the noise was just deafening. And you feel terrible because I'm sure it's like wildly uncomfortable for the animal as well. But it is just, I mean, it's like something out of a horror film. Like it is just like deafening. Like however you have felt respiratorily, if you've had like a bad flu where you just get like in a coughing fit, like that's what these dogs sound like when they're dealing with kennel cough.
Well, and so Mina's also got a version where like she's hacking up just really watery like mucusy stuff. It's super water. It's like there's little puddles of water on the floor when she's done. So it was easy to clean up, but it's like everywhere.
Yeah.
And so like, and the thing is, so when this first cropped up over the weekend, and I don't know, in my head it's connected because I think she's allergic to like mice, and I think I'd kicked up enough like dander and such that like she might have started coughing then, but she had kennel cough by evening, and then I had the this is the first time this has happened to us, and so even though I could go, I was like symptoms, etc., and Google in multiple places is basically like this is kennel cough. And then I watch videos of like people demonstrating like I'm a veterinarian. Here's what kennel cough sounds like, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like my dog. That sounds like my dog. Okay, cool. Go to bed. Lights go out and everything. Dog starts like hacking, and I'm like, or she could be dying. So I better get out of bed and sit up with this dog. Well, because also couldn't sleep. She was on our bed, just like hacking up a storm. No way could sleep through that. So I ended up just like spending all of Saturday night into Sunday morning just staying up with my dog, watching episodes of The Mentalist and trying to enjoy Ace Combat. And then come the morning, called the vet. And I'm like, I think my dog might be dying. I think my dog's really sick. And like the dog starts coughing in the background. They're like, that's just kennel cough. Nothing to worry about there. Is this your first dog? Yeah, don't bring that dog here, please. That dog is super contagious. So we would definitely not like to see your dog right now.
This is the same as like one of the things they always tell they give to new parents is they're like, this is a little gross. Look at a poo color chart for newborns. Is that like the color of that poo changes a lot, like over the course of like that first month, and like different colors don't mean that your child is dying. You don't need to rush your child in to be looked at. And it's like, so when it was 4 years between both of our kids, and both times it was like one of us would like go to clean the baby and be like, so, is this normal? And it's like, pull up the chart. Like, no, that's in
See,
the-
I feel like you're wired though to eventually like you will process and be like, this is normal. I'm cool. I'm like removing this.
It'll
from,
happen.
like,
Yeah, you
my
have to
active
go through
worries.
you go through the scares. You have to go through the
Yeah.
and you have to like not beat yourself over like the panic attack because like it happens. Like all the amount of times and this happened again when we had our second child because it's been 4 years later, but it's like that kid has not made a fucking noise in a long like it's been like 4 hours. That's a long nap. That child is dead. And you go in and you put your hand on their back and you feel their, lungs move up and down. And you're like, okay, like that's just me being paranoid. Like, so it's all that stuff is par for
Well,
for
and
the
Mina,
course.
like-
but especially in COVID where no one wants you to come in and do anything, there's like
Yes.
even more barriers of like, please do not like come in, get on a phone and talk to someone before you make any decisions.
Yeah.
Child
So
is fine.
I did the math because of various Mina things because she's also decided that 3 a.m. is a perfectly good wake up time. She's because I'm a soft touch. If she can wake me up, the odds are very good she will be taken outside immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever, like in the middle of the night, she decides it feels like this is a good morning time, I will wake up. She's very patient, but like sometimes you're sort of like half awake in the night, but usually you just go back to sleep. When I do that, like Mina will sense that, and I'll open my eyes, and she'll be standing over me. She'll just be standing over me with her like little poodle ears, like draped toward my face, just like watching me. And I sort of like open my eyes, and she's like, "Okay, finally, you're awake." And then she's like trying to push me off the bed and be like, "You can take me out now." And I'm like,
Well, once you've done it a couple times, you become marked, and now she knows that she can just do that to you. Pixel, she, my wife always complains that like Pixel just, she's, sometimes when the weather's a little off, just doesn't like to go for a walk and just immediately will turn around and go home. And I was like, she doesn't do that with me. Like she just knows if she puts up a little bit of resistance that you're gonna turn your ass around and like go back home. Whereas she knows I'm gonna pick her up and like walk her another 2 blocks and I'll make her walk back. And on the way back, she will do her business and take care of herself. It is funny how animals pick up on stuff like that. Also terrible because now you're being woken up at 3 a.m. So
yeah,
not
so
sure how funny that part is.
Doing the math in like 7 nights, I have slept through the night 4 times. But then the other 3, I got like 4 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep.
Great.
So I just feel like crap, just utter crap. So if this podcast is a little loopy, that's a big part of it. Anything else we want to hit before we? God, even playing Ghostrunner.
Yeah. I
in the
just wanted to
season
say
of
really
hauntings.
quick though, because y'all were talking about it. Same here because, I mean, not only did I wake up much
your
earlier
cat
than I
evil?
normally do. My cat is fine normally. She's just a clumsy motherfucker. And the other night, some point at like 1 a.m, she fucking managed to fall onto the controls to our bidet. And then at 2:30, I'm woken to the sound of what I thought was our radiators hissing, but was just a bidet going full blast. That bathroom was flooded. Like there was an inch of water in the bathroom.
Wow.
At 2:30.
I guess that could have been worse.
Yeah, it's just fucking sucks to have to clean that up that night, not sleep very well, and then also be like, well, tomorrow is also not going to be a good sleeping day because I got to get up at fucking 6 o'clock to be able to get to the polls by 7.
Do you have a downstairs neighbor?
I do. As far as
Do they
I know,
report
nothing
anything from the water.
No.
Not anymore.
Nope, they haven't heard shit. They don't listen to this. They don't know me. It's fine. Nothing.
Oh,
happened.
but you didn't like check in. You weren't like, "Hey neighbor, my cat."
Wow, putting
Used our
Cado
bidet.
on blast.
Look.
Like what Cado's saying is, seems like it was fine, Rob.
Yeah.
let's just move on with our lives. Whereas
Like, if
Rob's
someone had
you can go
asked,
down with
and
like a
been like,
six-pack
"Oh, yeah,
and
I know
like
what happened
like some roses, and be like, "I'm sorry, what happened last night?"
Nothing happened. Here's the thing: is that it flooded so quickly that I believe that there weren't any leaks. Right? Like I feel like it wouldn't have gathered that much water if things were getting down to the first floor. So I think we're fine.
That's a good point. That's a good point because it's not like I mean, I guess it all depends how much like throughput that bidet has, right?
Yeah,
so like you
true.
have to look up some manufacturer stats, like for that mode that the cat had activated. Okay, hold on, back up. How does a cat fall on the bidet controls? I thought those were like on I thought it was like one of those like bed controllers, like for a
No,
orthopedic
I mean
bed, where it's like,
some of them are like fancier ones are, but ours is like
Yeah.
just a valve. So like there's just a knob that she happened to turn. It's not like a knob. It's a weird kind of flat knob situation. I need to find a picture of this bidet. It's a thing that you can imagine if instead of a knob on a sink, there was a flat part to a knob, and that flat part was parallel with the ground.
okay.
So she fell on
Yes.
that, and like it tilted because she fell off, like slid off of it, and it doesn't have that much
Okay.
tension on it. And that's how she managed to turn this thing, because it's not like a round knob that you turn. It's like a flattened edge that connects to the knob. It's like a paddle almost, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah, so she just like fell on that somehow, and now we have to make sure that the bathroom door is closed every night before we go to sleep, and she's not in there.
Yeah,
End of cat
that's-
story. Ghostrunner.
Ghostrunner.
Is that out this week or that's out on like later this week, right?
Let me double check. I know the embargo is today, so we're good to talk about it, but I don't actually know when it releases.
I feel like it's this week.
For some reason, mine says September 29th, which is wrong. I think that's just when the
That
demo
was when the
happened.
demo was, right? October
Yeah,
27th.
yeah.
Oh, so
October-
actually it's like straight
tomorrow.
up. I was
Nice.
looking like I downloaded this game as well and then didn't put in like the special code to like turn it from the demo into like the actual game. So
Right.
like played it. It was like, thanks for playing the demo. And I was like, what are you
Wait.
what
Wait a
just
second.
happened here?
But yeah, Ghostrunner is a first-person platformer, is what I would call it. Basically,
Mirror's Edge with a sword.
yeah, Mirror's Edge, but you have a sword
And a grappling hook.
and some abilities. You are a cyborg or a straight-up android. I'm not sure yet. We're figuring that bit out. In a cyberpunk world where all of humanity lives in a tower because the world outside is deadly to humans. And there was the original society built by the architect, and then there was like a coup, and so the current government is being kind of fought against by some rebels, and apparently you were once part of the rebels, but you being a robot got your memory wiped. Don't know. You're kind of starting from scratch. So you have essentially pretty early on in the game, you get both the original architect, which has uploaded his brain to the cloud basically, and one of the resistance fighters are kind of these two talking voices in your head that as you like do sick wall runs and jumps and shit to get higher and higher into the tower, kind of give you these varying truths, and you're kind of trying to figure out hey, what who do I trust here? But mostly what you're actively doing in the game is making your way through a bunch of spaces where most of your movement is going to be over wall running. Like you're wall running like 90% of the time, it feels like. Either that or like grappling through things through the air. And you have a couple different abilities. The first one you start with is a dash that if you do in the air and you hold the dash button down, you slow down time, and then you can like pick a direction left or right to kind of dash through. And this is how you primarily avoid the like baseline enemies, which are like these guys with like single shot pistols, basically.
Well, it's one hit kills. So
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's
You
like you
cannot
don't
get
have-
out of scuff.
Yeah, you don't have any health, but the first kind of batch of enemies are very kind of like pop, pop, pop. There's a rhythm to them almost that you can kind of suss out. And so you're dodging them, killing them with it's also one hit kills the other way. Like everything you hit, every human you cut through, you cut a human body clean in half with a single sword swipe. So
That's just
But
how
the-
katanas are.
right, that's just because of the way that they're
Because of the folding.
folding.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, no, we know what's up.
We know what's up with the katanas, especially future katanas. I'm sure they folded so many more
Folded
times
even
at this
more.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
just over time they keep folding them. and I've been having a lot of fun with it. It has the correct is I'm like, sometimes the checkpointing has been a little rough, but most of the time the checkpointing is actually really great, and the like quick start has kind of saved this game for me. It feels very much in line with like a Meat Boy or even a Celeste situation, where like you have kind of a room or a space that you're trying to get through, and when you die, it's like a quick, you hit R and you popped immediately back to the
There's
beginning.
just no
of it.
downtime.
Like
You
no
can just, like,
downtime.
pop. You just like jump down that slide, get up on that wall run again, and just give that like sequence another shot.
It doesn't fall into that Mirror's Edge problem of like, I was having fun, but I'm frustrated as hell now. Like it, that I keep, because Mirror's Edge, the thing was, you would fail out, or you'd fail out, but you'd have to like repeat so many sequences so many times to like figure out how they're like what they're asking you to do.
You
And that
have
didn't feel
more
good.
verbs. Like there's more things you can do, right? Like Mirror's Edge explicitly said, like, "Hey, no combat." And I guess the
there was
sequel,
a little bit,
like,
right?
there's a little bit of that, yeah. But you didn't have to. Like it also it wasn't good. Like there was only a couple of times we had to engage with it in the original, and it was like, yeah, this is the best parts when you're not doing this. Where like this game is explicitly sort of like the obstacles are not just the environmental puzzles.
Right.
It's like way more about getting into the thick of it. Like there'll be sequences where like, hey, there are 4 enemies. You need to kill them in order to unlock the gate to move forward. So it's like you have like puzzle on top of puzzle. It's like, how are you navigating the environment on top of how are you navigating the enemies and whatever their combat behavior is. Plus, it's just so snappy. Like it feels it's almost too fast. Like I'm playing with a controller. And at times I wonder if I'd be better off with a mouse, but a keyboard and mouse, just because like I've thought about I might do this when I actually play it next. Like just simply looking around is so fast.
It's very quick. I had to turn down my mouse sensitivity. It was at like 50. I had to bump it down to like 30. And
that's what I think I need to do with the analog
fast.
stick. Is just like it's just too twitchy in a way that I also had to change the controls because it like put jump on like a bumper on the Xbox controller. I was like, that's the A button, sir. And there is just like another control option where like the main difference that it is like it's the same control layout except like, hey, we move that jump button to the A button. It's like, thank you, because I was trying to get used to it. I was like, you know what, this is the developers, they set it up this way. I'm usually not that finicky, but I kept
the option
thinking about the jump,
right?
And so I'd miss the jump, and I was like, all right, fine, I'm gonna have to move this to the.
I guess the idea there is that they don't want you to move your hands off the sticks as much for the regular platforming, right? Like you should be able to turn and jump and turn it again quickly without moving. Yeah,
I think
and
that
forth.
would be the argument.
I think that it works really well with mouse and keyboard. Personally, I really have enjoyed it a lot. It has the regular space for jump, what you like kind of expect. But what's been really great about this, it like doesn't really show up in that first level which you've played, which is a demo. But after you get out of that first level, which is pretty quick, I beat it in like 7 minutes. There's a timer too, which is fun. So if you're prone to trying to beat timers in games, that times you for every level, and you can kind of really get into speed running and time trialing yourself. Which is a good time. But after that first level, it starts to kind of open up, and you get new abilities as well. And the puzzles start to become like in the first level, they're pretty linear still because they're teaching you the core mechanics. But after that, you start to get more and more sequences where there are multiple paths. You can see kind of there's different orders of operations start happening based on different character like enemies. Like you start to get these like minigun guys that you can't dodge all the bullets of because they're just spraying too quickly, and so you have to use a specific ability to get around them, or you have to circle them at top speed in such a way that you wait for their next reload, and then you can like go in and strike. And there's just like the rooms become a little bit more open, a little bit more like you have multiple paths. You can kind of take things out in different order, and figuring out like what feels best and like where to use which ability has been pretty fun. And there's also in between those levels, there's these like hacking levels where to hack you do like some platforming, and those are interesting because when you're in like the digital space, you don't have any of your abilities, so it becomes just kind of a more standard, a kind of first person like jumping around platforms. But then all of those end up being puzzles, like you have to hit triggers in certain directions, but.
That's great. That sounds awesome. The platforming is really good.
Yes.
In the game, like it feels very satisfying to.
It's kind of like it's very interesting. Like the like real world mode is very speedy and quick and about not you. If you stop moving, you're gonna get shot basically. And then these puzzles are very much a kind of slow down. It's like, all right, let me consider all of this first, because you have to hit. Triggers in certain directions and in certain orders and stuff. So it's a very kind of, it's got a good pacing of like, all right, I've just been through a bunch of like really high intensity things. Let's slow down and think about this puzzle for a little bit. It doesn't overstay its welcome, luckily. Like it's like one or two puzzles and then we're back into the action and like, running for our fucking lives again. So yeah, I've been enjoying that a lot so far. Definitely will check back in once I've gotten further in. I've only played like 2 or 3 hours at this point. So
it looks cool as hell. Like, I was like, this looks like I kind of dig. It feels
great. Like if you like me spent way too much time replaying the tutorial level in Titanfall 2, where you can get timed on getting through that level and killing all the enemies as quickly as possible. This is the game for you. This is that without the guns. It took me like 3 hours to get that game started because I kept doing runs. Right, exactly. That is what this game is. It's like absolutely doing that. You do get a power early on. There aren't any guns, so it's all like you have to get up close to do the melee attack. But there is a power that you get like right after the first level where if you time it right, you can deflect bullets back at people, which has been fucking sick. It's just there's all sorts of great things. I don't want to spoil too much more of the other abilities because they're really neat and they just really make you like. There's really neat tricks with some of them where like. Yeah, the point of it is to kill enemies, but then you also end up gaining momentum in a way where you can really like start moving in new different ways around the space. It's really cool.
All right. Well, we will check back in on that when you've gotten a little further and when it sounds like more of us are probably going to be dipping into it as well.
Yeah.
I think that will probably do it for this week's show, unless, Patrick, if there's anything last you wanted to hit or bring up, or if there's any final breaking news.
I was going to find some more Season of the Witch clips, close it out.
Just want to spoil. We'll end up watching the whole thing just through clips. It'll be fine. It'll be great.
That's fine. That's just, what? Again, I got to watch it annually, and this is just be I'll watch the clip show.
You're watching pieces now, the mosaic approach. Mm-hmm. You can send any questions to gaming@vice.com with the subject question. You hit us up with questions, comments about anything from Season of the Witch to the history of Strangereal. To the monarchist tendencies of Pokemon. Is this an uncomfortable retcon? Like, did we just create a situation where the political beliefs of Pokemon are toxic, are regressive? This would be sad news, but
it's weird.
In
it's
2020, hardly surprising.
It's very much a what's the fucking term? I know there's a term for this. The
revanchiste, Noblesse oblige?
Yeah, like where the Pokemon gets its power by being revered, and with its power, it gives the people good crops, right? Like, because there's magic, because it's Pokemon, there's magic and shit. So, there's actually an exchange happening here, where normally it's
interesting. So if Pokemon God did not exist, they would have to invent him, sort of like that's kind of. Yeah. They need good crops, and a Pokemon is there to be worshipped to give good crops. Well, whatever works. It sounds like an effective political system, but a bit theocratic. Who can say? You can follow us on Twitter at Waypoint. You can follow me on Twitter at RobZachny. Cado, where can people find you?
At @A_Cado_appears.
Patrick.
At Patrick Klepek.
Our theme music is by Bowen. It's a track miss you off the EP panel
Yeah?
machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can learn
that
more
where it
at
is?
waypoint.zone/Bowen.
We all need a nap.
I need to write an outro for this thing. That's what I need to do so this never happens
You
again.
don't though. Actually,
I do.
add
I
it
do.
onto the pile.
Because I always hit this
Right.
and it's very anxious. It's I don't know how to end these shows anymore. And so sometimes they just end.
Good. Great. Oh, love it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Waiting for Patrick to realize that was happening though was a pleasure. Yeah. Dude, what Xbox things are going to be like? This is meant to be played on Series X. Like, what is going to exist?
Assassin's
Nothing.
Creed is like their big one.
But you can still play that on,
I don't know, we'll find out on-
Xbox One X at 4K
Yeah.
still,
Oh, no,
right?
Probably.
I think so.
So,
We'll
like,
find out on
what's
Wednesday.
the
I think
point?
Wednesday is when all the Xbox codes. So we'll figure out whatever third party stuff is gonna
Right.
It's
drop.
gonna be
I need-
weird.
I want all the codes for all the November games to drop this week because I got an email from Comcast on Saturday. It was like, you have hit your data cap, like 1.2 terabytes. Like, you've crushed it. So, and you get a 1 month waiver
Congratulations,
where you can just
Slugger.
you could just like go over as much as you want for the month. So I was like, I just want to download another terabyte this week. Like, give me Cyberpunk,
Right.
give me Watch Dogs, give me Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
like,
I need that
just to like
Cyberpunk
tear-
ASAP.
tear through all these. I don't think codes are out yet. I haven't seen anything, but I'm guessing that's going to be. I think that's all this week. So,
Cyberpunk, just play
Yeah.
Ghostrunner. That's all the Cyberpunk you need.
honestly, you know what? You know what's going to end up being the better game is Ghostrunner.
Ghostrunner,
Like,
100%.
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
Almost certainly. That's what it wants to do. Yeah. Did anything super racist happen in Ghostrunner yet?
Not
Cado?
yet. We're good so far. Honestly.
Nobody came out like wielding a Mac 10 and a taco and be like, "Yo, essay,
No.
you looking loco, homie."
Fuck.
terrible.
God damn it.
Terrible.
I
All
hate
right.
it. I hate it.
I'm
I'll
outta
upload
here.
this folder file thing. You know what's
Thank
up.
you.
Cado,
Yes.
you already know what it is. It's a
Oh,
file.
yeah,
It's going
don't
in the
Please
it's going in a file
give me
folder.
the file. Thank you. All right. Bye.
I mean, look, I think all of them are worth watching, but maybe not for the reasons that most people would consider spending their time. But the third one, Halloween 3: Season of the Witch, is one of my all-time favorites because it's the only non Michael Myers one. Like, John Carpenter makes Halloween, then the Halloween, the October after, they force him to like shit out a sequel, which is okay. And then he says like, this is not what I wanted to do. The reason he called it Halloween and not like Michael Myers was because he wanted it to be an anthology thing. He was like, he's done all sorts of anthologies over his career, and that's what he wanted Halloween to be his. And so they gave him like, fine, all right, go make your non Michael Myers thing. And Season of the Witch, which he didn't direct but like produced and oversaw, is just the premise is there is an ancient witch that has created a megacorp that produces like all of the like Halloween masks that kids want. It's called Silver Shamrock. And they've like, spent decades like establishing their prominence. And then this one Halloween, they are going, and like part of the way they hype up Halloween each year is they have this commercial, Silver Shamrock commercials. Got this really good little theme music that we dance around to in our house constantly. And when the witching hour is upon them, when they are going to eliminate children from the world, they are going to put the masks on, watch the commercial, and it turns their bodies into bugs and they die. And that's the premise of Season of the Witch.
Okay.
Like multiple bugs?
Oh yeah, it's
Like
just.
a-
Let me see if I can find. Let me see if I can find a.
It's like
so
one
like,
big-
the body like dissolves into bug.
Oh yeah, it's horrifying.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was like the Fly situation or fucking
Or like a Kafka,
Oogie fucking what's his face? From,
It's more of an Oogie
Metamorphosis?
Boogie situation.
Right? Yeah.
Like arguably, if you were to tell me that Tim Burton was inspired by Season of the Witch, I would believe you.
Okay, I'm just gonna. Okay, here we go. This is great. You're either gonna watch this, Rob, after you watch this clip, or you're gonna go, "I'm good. I've seen as much as I need to see from season 3." Season of the Witch.
Movie clip.
Should we just open? Do you want to just watch this clip from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch? Do you want to start our podcast?
Sure, I'm just watching this.
Okay, stop. Pause it.
Wait.
We're gonna make Cado watch it.
Okay, you got it.
Cado, do you want to watch this? We don't want to
Yeah.
force you into anything.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I like spooky shit.
We'll watch this and then we'll count in and do all that stuff. But yeah, I'm all right. I'm ready to go. Let me know when y'all are.
I'm recording. I want my reaction. All right, ready? What? 3, 2, 1 on 0.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes,
3,
yep.
2, 1, play.
This is about halfway through the movie. This is like they're
Don't like this
at the
place.
factory.
Gives me the creeps. I have to go to the bathroom. Mommy.
Relax a minute, will you?
Are they in a Fallout shop? What the fuck is? Oh, it's a lab.
Just what's my
Yes.
opinion about some
This family had like
television
shown up
commercials.
at like a local hotel, and
You know,
then
I
they
still
all go
can't
on a
figure out why they
tour
won't take my
of
orders
the
for next
factory
year.
by the,
No,
of course,
I
benevolent,
haven't
the person on the
been
left.
just not interested at all.
Maybe they're not
Owner
going
of
to
the
have
Megacorp.
Halloween next year.
Ha ha ha.
All right, roll it.
Give me that
It's actually
song.
got inspired like these two shots, like they're different realities almost. You got like the sitcom couple, and then these guys are like in a 70s horror, like sci-fi horror movie.
It's time. It's time. Time for the big
Oh, this is just the
giveaway.
same old stuff.
Halloween has come. All you lucky kids with silver shamrock masks, gather round your TV set. Put on your masks and watch.
Honey, don't get too close. You'll ruin your eyes.
Jack-o'-lanterns.
That's not the problem, Mom.
Watch. Watch the magic pumpkin. Watch.
I think this whole thing is a big joke. I mean, look at that.
Shit, she's been jokerified.
I mean, look.
Oh.
Okay, we're fine so far.
Is that pumpkin shit?
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to like the material of that pumpkin.
Oh.
Oh no, I don't like that.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Not sure where the snakes came from.
Snakes? You said bugs? Now there's snakes? Holy shit. No, this guy doesn't
What
feel too
scientist
good.
freaking out?
I feel like if you just got on the couch, like I don't think that's, you know, you probably got a chance to get away from that snake. Oh, that's an aggressive
Oh,
snake.
shit. Oh, fuck.
I don't know my snake. Is that poisonous? Or is this just an asshole?
Don't like that.
Oh no. Okay. I don't know about this.
Look, you said you said you wanted to be in the spirit of the holiday. Get in the mood. Come on, let's go.
I have a
A
the
snake
issue
thing?
I have is like that's just gross enough that I'm like I don't know. Am I scared or am I just grossed out?
It is the grossest part of the movie. I don't think there's anything even like remotely touching on that. Now I'm in the middle of rewatching it, so watch out. Like come back tomorrow. Like so, actually, there's like 6 more really gross parts that I forgot about.
Yeah,
Which
it didn't really
just-
register with me because I like it so much.
All right.
Damn.
All right, shall we go to time that is?
What's today? What's our
All right,
holiday?
let's put on our masks
World's
and watch the
Teacher
time
Day?
that is. Watch on 30. On 30. All right. Oh, Patrick, you excited tonight?
Yes, Rob.
I mean, this is where
the
we
Bears
find
are
out
currently
like, our team is bad.
the number 1 seed in the NFC, and if they win tonight, they will have the best record in the NFC.
This is going to be, I'm telling you, Patrick, we both know they're not winning tonight.
No, they're not. No, they're gonna. This may actually finally be like all the games that should not have gone their way will all just is all gonna gel into one game. It's gonna be like 42-10, and you're gonna want to turn it off after the third quarter. Is how I feel.
It's gonna be
Who
like
is it against?
The Rams.
It's against the Rams.
Who are beatable. Who are beatable. They're not world beaters. Like it could, there's a world where it goes their way, but just it can't. It can't.
Yeah, this is the thing. In 2018, like the Rams were world beaters, or they looked that way. And the assumption was like the Bears just got their asses kicked. And the Bears winning that game immediately vaulted them to like the very front of the NFC.
Yeah.
I suspect tonight is going to be the opposite of that, and it's going to be the moment where everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, there's."
They
the
actually
Bears.
are terrible.
Yeah, defense is getting worn down because they can't get off the field because the offense can't play, and it's just going to spiral from there.
I agree. This is
also
us just putting it out into the world so that when we're pleasantly surprised once again that the fraudulent team continues to be on top, then we can feel good about it because we put it out that our expectations are low. We expect to lose. Like you're just getting that negative energy out into the world off the bat.
Yeah.
Go Bears.
I'm still gonna drink heavily and feast during the game tonight.
I'm gonna make some chicken wings tonight. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, that is my plan. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so guess we can just get into it, right?